I ran for councillorship in the just concluded local government elections. My ward is Ward A in Etiosa local government. Um, I mean, it's a lot. It's quite a big constituency. We have Lekki Phase One, we have Itedo, we have Ikate, we have Igbokoshu, we have so it's Lekki One to Femi Okunu. Basically, that's the extent of the constituency, and it's been an interesting period of my life. I wasn't necessarily looking to go into public office, but the opportunity came and I decided to take it because I have been involved in public service, but in a private capacity. I am on the Lekki Environment Committee and I'm also the secretary of my subzone. So I have been doing some representation, for my community over the last couple of years. So when the opportunity to run for the councillorship came, I said, you know what, I know the terrain, I know the challenges, I know the government agencies, I have relationships with them. I go to Alausa quite frequently to, represent my community. So if I'm making some impact as a private citizen, perhaps I'll be able to do more with a public office. So I went for it, and it's been an interesting journey. I went into the communities, I connected with my constituents at the grassroots. I shared my plan, I shared my vision. Primarily, I was running on two priorities, environment and job creation, which are, closely related because, I mean, if you know the Lekki area, as with other parts of Lagos, it's filthy. It's as though there is no, there is just no sort of, we have neglected our environment. Everywhere is so dirty and it's a threat to our public health. So I feel very passionate about it, and I know that it's a solution, and I know solutions that can be implemented, which also drives into the job creation because we have tons of young people between the ages of 11 and 21, literally just loitering on our streets. They're not doing anything. They don't go to school. No one's engaging them. And so I thought, you know what, I can do this. I can devote the next couple of years of my life, to implement solutions that could bring about good change in this. And then the elections came, which was where the real work was. So we did everything we needed to do. By the way, I ran on the platform of the Youth Party, so I had a lot of support. We did all we needed to do, to run a good elections. But we were hugely disappointed with the conduct of the elections. Some of the challenges that we faced was that, for example, in Lekki, in many polling units, ballot papers didn't arrive till about 3:15 for an election that was supposed to end at 3 o'clock, which disenfranchised a lot of voters who had gotten there since early in the morning to cast their votes, and they were cut out of the process. And I mean, Suleiman, you would also not believe that several polling units in Lekki, the ballot papers that were brought were for Iru, Victoria Island. So voters who unknowingly voted on those ballot papers were voting for the councillorship candidate in Iru VI. So those votes were eventually made void or transferred, to those candidates. So we lost a lot of that. And then the ones that really were quite unacceptable was the fact that in Ikate, which is the center of our constituency, 6 polling units, specifically polling units 03 to 08, 6 of them were located at the Oba's Palace. And so the main gate leading into Ikate from Lekki was locked. So a lot of voters could not even access Ikate to be able to cast their vote, notwithstanding the fact that it was located at the Oba's Palace. So our polling agents had no free rein to do their job. They were basically just observing at the end of the day. People were cut out. There were thugs deployed on the scene. Same thing in Igbokoshu. Igbokoshu is a small community towards Femi Okunu. At that point, a band of individuals representing the ruling party basically hijacked the entire process. Our polling agents were not even allowed near that voting area at all, and everything just went. And it was strange that the LASEC officials, who are supposed to be the regulators of these elections, they almost seemed to be helpless, or sometimes maybe even taking instructions from the ruling party, because there was no sort of control at all. Everything was just almost as though it was a community elections that that we were not part of, or we couldn't be part of.
These people already are known by you, because on their behalf you've been mediating advocating. And when you were in your campaign, what was the vibe? What was the feeling you got? Or was it a feeling of acceptance? Did the people stand, to say, Tari, go wait for you and we'll buy you? Because we needed to know what ultimately happened apart from what you just highlighted, because the news showed that there was a big, voter apathy in Lagos. A lot of people didn't come out to vote.
Okay, so it was interesting that we were very well received during our campaign. Very well received. Like I said, we bonded with the people in the communities, even their leaders. I met with ballers, I met with CDA leaders, I met with youth leaders, I met with, just elders, young people. We bonded with the community and they received us well. However, many of them would say to us, Madam, we like you, we want you to be our counselor. But the thing is that these people, they will not allow you. They were telling me that they won't allow you because we know these people, they will never allow you to do it. But I was saying to them, but okay, no problem. Does that mean that I should just sit back and I should not do anything because they will not allow me? It's not their property. I'm a Nigerian, I have a right to come and present myself for service. So you guys, let us all just work together and do what we need to do. But the fact is that the people received us, and that also that also was as a factor of the sort of campaign that we worked out. Because when we started our campaign, we realized very early the pulse of the people. People are tired of government. People are tired of politicians coming and making promises to them. So very early on, I got some very good advice when someone said to me, Madam, look, there's nothing you want to say to us that we have not heard before. So I thought, you know what, instead of going to these people and just saying the same narrative of telling them, I will do this, I will do that, I want to go them and show them, demonstrate to them what my leadership would be like. So what we did is that we went into these communities and we cleaned out. We did cleaning drives. We went in with waste trucks and with cleaners, and we did mass cleaning of these communities. And that endeared my campaign to a lot of them because we were really already serving them. And they will say to us, wow, you're really trying. We recognize your effort, but it's just that these people will never allow you. And a lot of the feedback we were even getting from people in communities is that a lot of people that are already in government, they threaten the people. The people are afraid to vote other parties because of fear of punishment by some of these, people that are incumbents. So they will say, even though we want to support you, but we are afraid that maybe we will lose our livelihoods or they will punish us to some degree. So those are the challenges that are out there. And I feel that, as a nation or as advocates of in one way or the other, we really need to find a way to break those strongholds. People cannot be holding,
Tari, quickly here, but I thought that people voted in secret. How would anyone know who's...
I thought so too. I thought so too.
Honestly, because this is deeper than deep, yes. Honestly, for a council election.
I tell you, in Igbokosu particularly, my polling agents reported that when several people in the community come and it was clear that they wanted to vote for you, they will warn them that we know you. You want to vote for these people, we know you. So they will be afraid. Like I told you that a lot of these elections were hijacked. A lot of these elections were hijacked by, different elements. So there was no secret voting to some degree. Those secret voting where you have the booths and you can go in there quietly. If everything is orderly, then there can be that kind of system. But when there's chaos, there is no secret voting. You are just coming in, you are pushing, there are thugs, there's everything, and they already tell you who to vote for. And if they feel that you are going to vote in another direction, they start to threaten you, and you too being afraid, you either run away or do what they want you to do.
A lot of women across the continent are watching you, and some are wondering how you were able to surmount some of the challenges, especially where you have thugs. So how did it go for you? What kind of, campaign did you have that, didn't get into a clash with these troublemakers?
Yeah. You see, like I said, we went in with solutions. We went in, implementing solutions. So they welcomed us. They saw the value that we were bringing in. It wasn't about me being a woman or being a man or whatever. I came in there and I was offering value, and the people recognized that value. So even if they were saying, okay, we at least we like what this woman is bringing. She's coming to clean our community. She's coming and she's giving us job for the day. They embraced that. I don't think I suffered any limitation because I'm a woman, or if I did, I didn't notice. But the fact of the matter is that I think that value doesn't recognize any gender. When people see value, they embrace it. And that's my message to a lot of women. Let's stop holding ourselves back.
Tell us about leadership currently at the grassroots level and what you think are the basic challenges the people, the constituents have. Do you have this kind of open conversation in your advocacy before you came into politics? Was it easy for you to have access to your councillor and your council chairman?
Thank you, Suleiman. It's quite interesting. Until I was running, I never knew who the councillor was. And I know people who have lived in Lekki for 10, 15 years and have never known their councillor. There is literally no interface between the councillor and the community. And I tell you, I got to find out that there was a current councillor and he had done 3 terms, but nobody knew who he was, because they just are domiciled at the local government where they attend the plenary sessions, but there is no interface with the community. Well, how do you effectively represent a community who you do not communicate with? So it's basically, I don't know, there's something definitely wrong with that system. And that's what we were going to do differently. We were going to set up a constituency office where there will be engagement with the community so that we will be articulately representing their needs at the local council where we're to be representing them. And it's interesting that, the basic thing, a lot of people talk about how many of the local government functions have been hijacked either by the state government, but the few things that are still left for the local government to do, for example, the environment, public toilets, like you mentioned, there is a big gap, there is a void. Sometimes it almost feels as though there is no government at that level. Everything is just left as it is. Like I said, I've been working on the Environment Committee in Lekki, and I know the amount of work that we have to do. And these are individual stakeholders within Lekki that sometimes even have to cough up funds to do public services, something that is within the responsibility of the local government. So I think that a lot of reorientation needs to happen about that. In my race, for this office, I got to understand the power and the potential of the local government. It's the closest government to the people. So if you're someone who is really interested in public service and you want to make an impact, that is where you need to be, because you can really serve the people at that level. But I think there's a void right now. Either the people there do not understand what their mandate is, or we as the communities are not holding them accountable enough.
Let's now start talking about some of the key things, perhaps if you've also given it a thought, and it has to do with awareness. It looks like, because some of the people who met you said to you, fine program, fine action, you've even started before getting into office, but they won't allow us vote you in office. Now, the day here, in quote, has to be, unwrapped, demystified, explained to the people, because it will seem as if the constituents don't know that they have the power over the day they spoke about.
And you know why? Because poverty is weaponized. This day use poverty to oppress the people, use the people's poverty to oppress them. The people are helpless because they are poor. The people are helpless because the things that their government is supposed to be doing for them, the government uses it as a tool of oppression. That's what we're facing. The people didn't realize until I was educating them. Many of them didn't even know the role of a councillor. Many of them didn't even know about the existence of a councillor. So my campaign was also educating people at the grassroots. Now, guess what? Nigeria has made provision for somebody to be representing you, to be giving you this and this and this, and to be helping you to at least Suleiman, what was it that I was campaigning to do, or I still am, because I'm not giving up? What is it that I want to do for my people? I want just improved condition of living, not too much, just improved standards of living. I find it appalling that people in my community, in Lekki, by the way, in Lekki, live in shanties with no toilets, no bathrooms. They go to toilets where they eat, where they sleep, where they live. It is not right. It is improper, and they have a government. So for me, that is unacceptable. And I was ready to do whatever, to say that, what, this has to change. And for me, my plan was I would go to the private sector as counselor. I would go to the private sector. I would go to the development space. We would get the funding that is required to build public toilets, to build public facilities, just to improve the condition of living for many of these people. So there's a failure of government, especially at the local level. Nobody is attending to the needs of the people, and we need to bridge that gap. Absolutely need to.
Once you said that Nigeria doesn't need restructuring, and you said that what Nigeria needs is, a mindset, a change of mindset. Yes. Now, can you speak more to that and how that may affect leadership at the grassroots?
Okay. A mindset change, for example, you hinted on one. The people don't know what their government is supposed to do for them. They have this sense of government as patronage. They feel like the government are their ogas, their bosses, people that they go and pay homage to. That's the way the people see the government. They have no understanding of the fact that the government is supposed to serve them and improve their quality of life. So we need to empower the people with the knowledge that Nigeria has made provision for their improvement of living standards, of their improvement of quality of life. So that reorientation needs to happen. Secondly, the people in leadership. I don't know why, there's this sense of, you are doing the people a favor when you do their road, or when you clean their streets, or when you create scholarships and all that. You're not doing the people a favor. You are doing your job. You are a representative of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and it is your duty to do that for the people. So until we start to tear down a lot of those ways of thinking and go back to the essence of what governance is. Governance is representation. Governance is, lifting up the people, empowering the people, taking them to where they need to be. Not the people serving you and the people enriching you, or the people, paying homage or patronage to you. So, those are the mindset shifts that need to happen. And of course, Suleiman, much more involvement. If I was not running for office as councillor, many people in Lekki, in Etiosa, would never have known that there was a local government election happening. So I had to do a lot of that work during my campaign, and people will say, really? Local government elections is happening? Oh, I didn't know that. So you mean that all these years, there has always been local government elections, and we will just realize that, okay, there's somebody new that has come, but we were not involved in the process. So we have a duty to know. We have a duty to be involved. And I've woken up, as have a lot of people that I know that are in Lekki and in Etiosa, that have also woken up as well and said, you know what, no more. By the time the next chairmanship and local government elections are happening, it's going to be a different experience entirely, because people are no longer sleeping. People have woken up to say, you know what, it is actually the local government we need to be paying attention to. So we need to be getting sincere, passionate, quality leadership at that level, because the change has to happen from the bottom up. Not everybody can go to Asu Rock, not everybody can go to Alausa, but perhaps some of us can go to Igbo Efon, or go to, wherever our local government is in the community. And that's how we need to address it.
Now I'm trying to go back in history, and time was where, grassroots politics was the main, politics in Nigeria. Even at the time of Action Congress, everyone, I mean, the Action Group, the AG, everyone was about grassroots. And to the extent that the national television then in Nigeria had a series, Village Headmaster, where everyone sat together and they had a councillor who was very prominent, Councillor Balogun. Now, But somehow, Nigeria lost it, and everyone is looking to the center and looking to the state. And now this change of mindset, listening to you, I'm asking, Terry, how can this mindset truly be taken by a people that you have also identified as being pauperized and put in a very bad state, to the extent that all they think of is handouts?
Yeah, yeah. It's orientation. It has to be orientation all the way. So, for example, during my campaign now, more people have been more empowered than they have ever been in years, because I have gone out there and I have said to them, look at me, I'm offering you myself. I have been educated, I have experience, and I'm bringing it to serve you. So we need more people with that mindset to go into those grassroots leadership. And secondly, accountability. We cannot keep on letting these people to just do as they please. How can we not know who our counselor is? How can you have lived in Lekki or Etiosa for 20 years and you do not know, you've never known who your counselor is? Your counselor has a responsibility to come and knock on your door and tell you that I am your representative. What can I do for you? That's the way it is done. So proper accountability. So as I know that every community has either their resident associations or they have their CDAs or some sort of pressure group. I think these pressure groups need to rise up. They need to rise up and they need to start holding these local government leadership accountable and say, what are you doing? What is your mandate? What is your plan for the year? What are we going to hold you accountable on? Which roads are you fixing? Which gutters are you cleaning out? What is our waste evacuation services going to be like? Which public toilets are you building? They need to be held accountable. That's the only way they're going to be responsible. Because right now, nobody, and I'm speaking to my own ward, for example, nobody is being held accountable for anything. I know the amount of work that we have had to do as private citizens. So you would wonder, do we even have a government if we are doing all this? Representation. How many times do we go to Alausa to go and tell Ministry of Transport or talk to Ministry of Environment or talk to Ministry of Physical Planning? Where is our representative? Why am I the one going to do that when there's an elected councillor that has done 3 terms? So you see, there's something really broken in the way we do things here. And until we first of all empower the people, poverty should no longer be a weapon in the hands of bad leaders. They are impoverishing the people by impoverishing them with information, impoverishing them with resources, so that the people remain dependent on them and then they can just do as they please. So we need to empower the people, churches, mosques, media. Let us empower the people with knowledge so that the people take responsibility for their own lives and hold these leaders accountable.